Today, we're talking about the 3 myths that keep people stuck from seeing the millions of dollars that are in government contracting for their business. These 3 lies are costing business owners millions and millions and millions of dollars in government contracts. And I'm going to share with you what those top 3 are and what to do about them so that you don't stay stuck. My name is Melinda Colon, and I am a government contracting expert. I'm a enterprise value architect, and I help established service-based business owners add a revenue stream of government contracts to create predictability and stability and increase the value of their company. And these 3 lies are really hurting a lot of people, and I want to debunk them. And I want to share with you exactly why and how you can move forward so that you're not getting stuck with everybody else who is doing these things. So, the first lie that people believe is I need a certification. I need a certification to win contracts. In fact, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with one of our clients who is in the 8-figure range, and they just realized that they don't qualify, they no longer qualify for small business certification um, due to their NAICS codes. And it's not that big of a deal. It honestly isn't, because there are so many contracts available for their services. And so if you are in construction, engineering, consulting, any type of consulting, including engineering, professional services, anything, right? You could be in janitorial or in marketing, branding, if you can be in accounting, it doesn't really matter. IT or cybersecurity, these are the four industries, the 4 service types that are available constantly. And across the hundreds of thousands of agencies just here in the United States, that speaks a lot. There are millions upon millions of dollars, meaning that you can cherry pick all of the opportunities that you want. And so, what a certification is, let me just cover that clearly. There are different types of certifications and certifications at different levels of the public sector. So there are small business certifications like the 8A or the WSB or the Hub Zone and so many others at the federal level. Now, when you get to the state and local level, they also have their own certification programs. And many of the more established buyer types, like school districts or airports, depending on the size of those agencies, they may have their own type of certification that they hold for registered vendors. So when we think about what certifications are, it is a gateway to a contract, but it isn't the only way. In fact, oftentimes when I'm speaking to established businesses who are in the 7, 8-figure range, and they're navigating, they're already registered on SAM, they're in the process of getting their certification, and they're considering like, okay, so what contracts do I go after? And when we evaluate all of the opportunities, the dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities that are just about to be advertised in the next 3, 6, 9 months, they realize most of them don't have certification requirements. You might be thinking to yourself, well, how do they win? Well, this is why it's important to identify your value proposition and your differentiator. Let me just simplify those words. Value proposition is just what is the promise that you're going to deliver. Like, are you going to promise to get this outcome? This is what you do, like in your business. For example, if you're a facility management company, what is the outcome that you get clients? It's not just to maintain their facilities, right? Maybe it's just peace of mind, safety, and protection for faculty and staff. What is the outcome that you deliver? That is your value prop. Now, for your differentiator, these are the stories that basically no one else can tell about their business like you. So this is the basically your system talking about how you get the outcome. Maybe you have a particular procedure or protocol that's unique to your business. Oftentimes, it's your proprietary system. It's like your IP, something that's unique. It's increasing the value of your business by just having a system. And this is what rings just value in the ears and the eyes of your government contracting officer, your purchasing officer, because they hear that and they think, oh, that lowers risk. They have a process. They have something that we can trust, we can hold on to, we can understand, we can visualize. How are they going to get the outcome that they promise? So these two things go together. And the reason why this is so valuable to know right now is if you have a certification, if you have an 8A, a WSB, you have a veteran-owned disability certification, like you have one of the certifications, if you have a small business enterprise certification, whatever certification you have, you still need a promise and you still need a story. You still need a value proposition and you still need differentiators. You still do. Because how many people do you know when you were looking for like knowledge on how to get your certification, did you see all the hundreds of thousands of people getting their certifications? Yes. So that means that it's no longer unique. It is something that is across the board, everybody's doing it. So when something becomes normal, then it comes down to your brand, your business brand. And this shouldn't scare you. This should actually excite you. Because regardless of what programs that are going on, yes, you want to participate where it makes sense strategically. But the thing that you're selling the most is the value your business provides. And you don't have to worry too much about whether or not someone's going to appreciate it, like it, whatnot, because the results, the stories sell themselves. That's what sells. It's not your logo, it's not your branding, and some of it's not even your case studies, because some of the case studies that I see people submit for contracts, they're actually not relevant. They're telling a different story. And I've seen this for 7, 8, 9-figure businesses. And they're submitting these case studies, these projects that are not relevant to the work that the client or the government is asking them to deliver. So it is the promise and it's your system that stand out, amongst other things, like if there are, stats that are unique and different. Like say, for example, going back to facility maintenance. Let's say you have you have a department of 10,000 dispatchers. It's like, whoa! It's like, oh my gosh, they can do so much. They can handle the work. Maybe your locations, right? Like the locations or the reach that you have, that speaks to whether or not it makes sense to like hire you, because if you're farther away, then it's more challenging. If you're close by, then hey, that makes sense. We can build a long relationship, a long-term strategic relationship. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2 is you need past performance to get past performance. It's like the chicken or the egg. Does the egg come first or the chicken? Or the chicken come first and the egg? Well, side note, the chicken comes first. Just the chicken comes first. That's just what Genesis says. So I'm going by it. But at the end of the day, you might be thinking to yourself that you need government contracting past performance. You need federal past performance. You need state past performance. You need local past performance to win contracts in those arenas. And that is not true. This is why I'm speaking to established business owners. You see, if you want to get on a GSA schedule, if you want to get a GSA schedule, if you want to win a federal contract, if you want to win a SLED contract, it all comes down to how you tailor or how you translate what you have already done in your business to a government buyer who's looking for experts like you. Let me give you 2 different scenarios so that I can hopefully help you understand how this works. The first scenario is of a business established, say they're making 8 million a year, and they're seeing that there are contracts available to them. They've got tons of past performance, but none to speak to government. Like everything has been private, where they've been working with commercial, corporate, everything, but just not government. And they look at these government contracts and they're like, oh my gosh, I want them. And they take what they have. They say, oh, they hear this YouTube video, and they're like, oh, Melinda said I can just use my experience. So they just take it, copy and paste it, put it in there, and then they submit. And then they're like, well, she must be wrong because it doesn't work. Okay. Then the second type of business is a business that only wins government contracts. Like they've been in government contracting for a long time, leaning back, stability, peace of mind, relax. Oh, this feels great. Like no problems. They're just like chuckling at businesses that are relying on book sales and ads to run a business. They're like, that is that's unpredictable. Requires so much effort. They're like, no, we're going to stay in the government world. Well, both of them are wrong. See, the proper equation that I highly recommend after billions of dollars that I've helped my clients achieve is a formula that's balanced in both places. Well, how that balance looks like or what that measurement looks like is up to the formula for your business plan. You know that. It's going to be unique for your business in terms of where you are financially, what your P&L looks like. That's a huge factor depending on you don't want to increase the risk exponentially just to win a contract, right? We want to make sure that it makes sense for your business. It's right fit for your business, not just in dollars, but in capacity. We also want to look at your capabilities. Like, what does your team look like? What does your experience look like? What do your systems look like? These are all things that are necessary to be positioned to win and to create long-term relationships with buyers. On the other side, where we're looking at a business that only wins government contracts, so it's not dangerous. It causes many of them to fall behind because they're not paying attention to the market because they're not playing in the market. It's kind of like, if you think about it, maybe you were maybe you were a tennis player at one point, right? You played tennis 20 years ago and you remember every move and everything like that. And a friend of yours calls you up and asks you, hey, let's play tennis. Like, I would love to see your moves. You're so excited. You think to yourself, I haven't warmed up in a while, right? I haven't been playing the game in a while. Okay. You're rusty. Now, when you go out in the court, you're playing, but your friend is beating you. Why? Because they have been conditioned and they stay in condition for the present moment. You see, if you're just in government contracting, you're behind the private market. You're behind all of the other advisors and experts that are learning things that you will eventually need to solve. And that puts you in a risky situation because anybody can come in and with the right positioning can win the contract after you're the incumbent. Like, they can see you and say, oh, well, they don't do any private sector. So now we know how we're going to come in and say, well, these are the solutions that we've solved immediate right now. We're conditioned to solve these problems today. These are the new environment standards. These are things that are happening right now. No, see, they're just circulating the same solution over and over again, but we're bringing a new way of thinking. And that changes the perspective. You're now coming in as a valued expert. See, this is why it's a beautiful marriage. Private sector occurs before public sector understands demand. So, for example, let's say, well, no, I'll use something simple because let's say, for example, if there's like this really fancy widget, right? Private sector, like you see it on YouTube and social media and your clients are asking for it and you're delivering it, right? You're delivering the widget. And you don't see any contracts. You see very like 2 or 3 contracts on the widget. You're like, it's interesting. It must not be in demand. No, that's not what it's saying. It's saying that they don't know about the solution. They don't understand that it's a potential opportunity to get them a better result faster, more efficiently, and secure the success that they're looking to achieve with that widget. That widget is different. Before, they had to advertise 2 different contracts. Now it's only one because that widget solves so many problems. If you're not in the private sector, you miss out on selling the widget, understanding how the widget works, all the lessons learned, the deep bench of knowledge, the expertise, the team that has the experience to translate to the government. See, this just when you think about government contracting, it's just a market. It's just a market of not businesses, but they function like businesses. Each individual agency functions like a business. And this why this is so important to understand about past performance is that if you don't translate it appropriately in the way that showcases value for that specific buyer, so that specific company, quote unquote, then it's gonna look like gibberish. It's gonna look like something like, I don't understand. I see other people buying it, but I don't see why it's important to me. It doesn't answer the problems, or it doesn't answer the questions that I have about the problems I have. So this is why translation is key. And if you understand the system that I walk people through, then it'll make sense. The translation is all it's how you unlock all of this. You unlock the contracts, you unlock the relationships, the teaming partners, the right fit teaming partners, the teaming partners that are going to show up because they are already winning and they're just like, oh man, you bring something different to the table. I want to partner with you. Let's go after the bigger deals, the things that are just, I mean, crazy big. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is exciting. I like my team, they'll be good. I want to make sure that my team is taken care of, that their families are taken care of, our systems are working effortlessly, systematically. I can go and invest in businesses and ideas and in AI and all these things because I finally have clarity on how to utilize the current assets I have in my business, your experience, the contracts that you've delivered for your clients in the private sector, whether they're commercial, they're corporate, doesn't matter. The team that you have and their experience. Oftentimes when I speak to new, like people are just stepping into government contracting, they forget to evaluate their clients, their team. They say, okay, well, I have people on my team. Okay, you have 8 people. What is their experience? Oh, well, they don't have a lot of experience with my company. It doesn't matter. If you're paying them as an employee, they are bringing that value into your company that you can leverage. Now, the important thing is to always identify that this experience is before they were hired. So that's clear. There's specific language you want to use. So when you're doing this, I mean, it just blows up. You're like, oh my gosh, it always happens. There's always some connection to employees. Like, how did you guys meet? Oh, we met at a previous company we used to work together. Oh, well, what did you do over there? Oh, the same thing. So you're bringing that experience here, right? So these are things to keep in consideration about past performance. It's not just about what contracts you've done, it's about how you can translate them to win government contracts. And then the myth number 3 that I'll share with you today: government contracting is too complicated and slow to be worth it. So I used to believe this. And this was when I wasn't paying attention. I didn't see it. This was early on. This was nearly 2 decades ago. And I was working in corporate America. I was learning it the hard way. Late nights, early mornings, holidays, weekends, just like crying, just trying to figure this out. Like, oh my gosh, how do I win? I have to win. It's like my job. It's literally how I can take care of my family, being a breadwinner. And what I learned is that contracts aren't slow. They're in alignment with the schedule for the same size and scope type of contracts that are in the private sector. You think that they're long, right? If you calculate how long it takes for you to launch, let's say if you're selling services, via webinar, like calculate your ad time, your campaign, your ads, the time to create the messaging, the marketing, the da da da, like the posting, the organic content, all that, like to the time that you close, not the time that you sell, but the time that you close. How long does that take? It's not overnight, right? To get a similar outcome. Say, for example, you're going to a networking event. This is a perfect example for many of you, like in construction, engineering, other consulting services, and professional services. You go to a networking event, you meet somebody, a potential client, you get them into your CRM, you follow up a couple times. You get them on the call. You send them a proposal. They evaluate it. Maybe you send an update. Maybe you have another follow-up call. And then you finally close. How long does that typically take? So it's not that government contracting is slow. The private sector is just as long. It's just that you're not calculating it in its entirety. I've seen clients who are winning contracts on the private sector valued at 3 million, 5 million. And it's taking them 6 months. And they're like, government contracts is too slow. Yet, when we start winning contracts for them, they're like, oh my gosh, I won in 90 days. I won in 120 days. Some of them, I can't say for all contracts, but some contracts are 6 months. Some contracts take 12 months. And it's worth it because the long-term relationship with that agency will pay off in spades. You win that contract, now you have a relationship. You've worked for 6 months with the same client that's not going to buy once, that's not going to buy twice, but they're going to buy infinite amounts. Like if you choose to hold on to your company, let's say for the next 20 years, 30 years, let's say 50 years. I'm going to say 50 years because that's as long as I think I'm going to do it, like maybe 50 or 60 years. But if we see 50 or 60 years, 50 years, and for the next 50 years, if you're working with that same client and they continually buy every single year for 50 years, the same contracts, was it worth it? Was it worth it when it took 6 months? 100%. It costs more to find a new client than it is to retain the existing client. Government contracting is all about retention, all about retention. And when you know what's happening before it happens, before the public knows, before the masses know, you're in a better position. And it doesn't feel like it takes 6 months. It feels like it's instant because you're stacking the contracts on top of each other. You don't worry about timelines anymore. You're focused on relationships and teaming and opportunities and scale and how you can diversify your portfolio of acquired businesses and how you're just going to free up so much of your time because you're thinking, how do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? Well, why don't you just nurture the same buyers that buy millions upon millions of dollars in your services every single year on repeat? Like, why don't we stay focused on that? Are you guaranteed to win a contract every year from that client? No. But ask me how many clients of mine win contracts from the same client over and over again, year after year, or term after term. All of them. All of them. When they apply the system, when they build relationship, when they apply the system appropriately, which is huge when it comes to sales, business development, connecting with the buyers, understanding what they need, reaching out, building relationship. When there's a torrential, like weather warning or something like that, that's going to affect them. They're just human beings behind a computer, just like you. They're trying to solve a problem in their job, right? They have family, they have kids. And so they're thinking the same thing, like, oh man, there's a hurricane coming. crap, like I gotta make sure that my kids are home safe and all that stuff while I'm doing my job. How many people feel that? How many people can relate to that? Everyone that has kids that lives in a state that has hurricanes. All right. So let's say, for example, you're in a state that doesn't have current, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's traffic. It could be it's 100 degrees. It could be anything. You can relate on that just as a human, be social, be connected, and that builds trust. That builds relationship. Now, what happens when you build trust? They can help, you can help them even further, understand the problems they have. Hey, Sue, I saw in the budget that you had this thing, but I don't see that you've ever awarded this contract before. Is this new? Yes, it's new. I've never had to, you know, uh, um, formulate an RFP for this. I don't even know. Like, we're going to follow the standard process, RFQ to RFP and to presentation. We're predicting it's going to be about 10 million. Okay. So what questions you have, I'm happy to answer anything that you need. Now you're guiding them to how to help them do to solve a problem that they have that's before the solicitation is advertised. Many people, like, the more that you're in this world, the more that you go to events, go to conferences, speak to more senior pro level public sector contractors, you're going to hear this and it's going to happen. They're going to say, this was made for someone else. This is created for someone else. It's not, there's no bias. It's not like the procurement officer is doing it intentionally. They're using the education, the information that they have. And what better way to help them solve that problem other than to share your proprietary system that's unique to your business? I'm just going to leave it there. If you're interested in learning more, if you're interested in just finally getting off the fence, finally saying, you know what, I'm going to prioritize government contracting because I see how unstable the private sector is. I want to create some stability. I want to just ease my worry. I want to be able to free up my time, my mind, and just set up my business that's structured like a real business. You see, if you want to do any of those things, come to the Real Business, Real Contracts event that's coming up. All you have to do is go to realbusinessrealcontracts.com, register, and just come. We're going to have a conversation about your business, specifically helping you understand what is in between you getting in and seeing those results, seeing the results of building long-term relationships that pay over and over and over again. Like, you win one contract, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Take that sucker and put it back into the machine so that you can continue to see the results. Is freeing. And almost every single client of mine says the same thing. When the door is wide open, they see the results, they see the opportunities, they start taking action, they say the same thing. I mean, 99% of them, they say, I wish I would have done this sooner. So let's just stop delaying. Let's just go ahead and take action. Let's go ahead and just do it. Go to realbusinessrealcontracts.com, register, just put your information in. That helps us customize the conversation so that you're not listening to some generic language, that we actually give you custom information for your business. How amazing is that? And this is for established business owners. This is for serious business owners. This is not for startups. This is not for businesses that just got their EIN. This is for businesses that have been successfully delivering services to their clients for years. Come to this event. Okay? This is what you've been looking for. This is the clarity. This is the roadmap. We're going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to get into the world and navigate it and free your life, free your business and life from concern and confusion and overwhelm and stress so that you can control the future for your business. I'll see you guys next time.